My dear brothers and sisters, once again, welcome to Sunday Reach. An introduction of a new person, whether it be an election of a pope or an election of a president of America or a ruling party and a prime minister in India or a religious head or a new boss in a workplace, and all these instances evoke various responses in the lives of the people. Last Sunday's Gospel has a similar introduction where Jesus presented himself as the fulfillment of a messianic prophecy that was contained in the book of prophet Isaiah. And this introduction had three responses, and that is the theme of today's Gospel. The first response was wonder. It was natural for the Jews in Nazareth to look at Jesus, a fellow resident of Nazareth, who solemnly proclaimed himself as the Messiah. And they admired at his courage and his declaration. And it was very obvious that Jews wanted a Messiah. And that is their long-standing hope. All the prophets prophesied about this Messiah and a new heaven and a new earth, a new time of liberation. And they hoped for a Messiah. And when Jesus presented himself as the Messiah, it was naturally for them to have wonder and amazement at his solemn declaration. When Jesus proclaimed himself as the Messiah, they had already heard about Jesus as one who performed so many miracles in Capernaum and various parts of Israel. And they thought in their own minds that if he is the true Messiah, let him also perform similar miracles. Slowly, the wonder that was the initial response is changed into distrust and suspicion. When they began to look at their religious life, and when they look at their own life situations, and when they began to look at the person of Jesus and his humble origins from Nazareth, the wonder was changed into suspicion. They could not accept a fellow resident to be the Messiah. If at all they were to receive him as the Messiah, he had to perform miracles. The third response was rage. When they heard that Jesus was directly attacking them and his words were not soft but challenging them, that evoked a response of rage in their life. The rage was so much that simple rage was transformed into a destructive force. They wanted to kill Jesus. My dear brothers and sisters, these three responses bring before us three important points. The first point is, once we are engrossed in the religious system, which is very much conducive for us, conducive to our everyday life. I don't touch anybody, nobody should touch me. I'm happy with my religious life, I'm happy with my social life, I'm happy with my family life. No one should touch me. If that is the attitude, then there is a problem of recognizing the truth. The Jews were happy with their life, their religious system. Though they experienced bondage at the hands of Roman Empire, they were happy to live that life. They did not really want a change. If they really wanted a change, when a person presented a new project, a new prospect, a new hope, they would have accepted him wholeheartedly. Instead of looking at the person of Jesus and what he can do in their lives, they began to look at his humble origins. My dear brothers and sisters, the whole good news is about the person of Jesus. the person of Jesus who is sent by the Father and who died on the cross. And why did he die on the cross? As we read in the first letter of St. John chapter 3, he comes to destroy the works of the devil. The rage of Jews who wanted to kill Jesus is a reflection of the rage of the enemy, the evil one, who always wanted to steal, kill and destroy, as we read in John 10:10. But Jesus came to destroy the works of the devil. And the liberation that Jesus was giving is the liberation from the works of the powers of darkness, the consequences of sin that is a result of obeying the power of evil. And we are asked to put our faith in the person of Jesus, not to concentrate on the very insignificant matters of his humble origins. The second theme that we can get is our unconditional trust in the Lord. This trust, I would say, with the example of two people. First of all, I want to take an example from 1 Samuel chapter 1, where we have the story of Hannah, who had no children. She was bewailing and praying to God. And when Eli, the priest, came and saw her, he thought she was drunk. And he asked, "Why are you drunk early this morning? And it is not good for a woman." And she said, "I am not drunk. I am in pain, pouring out my heart before the Lord." And this is faith. When we need God very badly in our life, God will come. And that is the example Jesus gives in today's gospel. That widow at the time of Elijah and that leper at the time of Elisha, they experienced God's favor. There were so many widows and there were so many lepers, but only these two were benefited. Widows and lepers obviously needed God's intervention in their life. All those who need God's intervention is not the ones who will be favored by God. Those who really open their heart in trust and abandon themselves in the arms of God can experience God's intervention in their life. The second example is of Mother Mary. When Angel Gabriel presented something impossible, Mary was perplexed. And she asked, "How can this be? I do not know man." And the angel said, "What is impossible for man is possible for God." Mary believed in that impossible works of God. God who can do impossible works is the object of her faith. Thirdly and finally, we read in Hebrews chapter 3 and beginning of chapter 4, even though the good news came to them, that good news did not benefit the Jews, because that good news did not meet with the faith in their heart. There are so many obstacles to faith. Maybe our own ego, maybe our own indifference, maybe our own lack of training in righteousness, or maybe sinfulness. There could be many obstacles. And it is our constant effort with the Word of God, with the sacraments, with a life of prayer, to remove these obstacles so that the faith of God can dawn in our hearts and bring fruits that is worthy of a Christian life. As we celebrate today's Eucharist, let us ask for these gifts: an open heart to recognize Jesus as the anointed, the liberation personified. Secondly, let us ask again the gift of trust so that we may abandon ourselves into the arms of God. And finally, let us also ask the grace to examine ourselves and to find out the areas where we have gone wrong, so that the faith may find root and nourish in our lives.